Hi, this is Heather Waite, Programs Coordinator of Artists and Communities at the Andy Warhol Museum. I'm just going to show you a quick stab binding, book binding technique today. All you're going to need is some paper. This can be computer paper or scrap paper. I like to use a heavier cardstock for my covers. These are some marbleized papers that I made in another demo. You're going to need an awl. This is for punching holes in your book paper, but if you don't have an awl, you can use a hammer and a nail. Just you got to be hammering into something like a piece of wood or, not your nice table. You're going to need some thread. This is bookbinding thread. It's really nice. It's wax, so it moves through the paper really easily. But embroidery floss will work. A thin piece of string will work. You probably have something around your house that could work as a bookbinding thread. And I have a ruler here just to measure out your holes. So what you're going to do is stack your paper with your covers, and you're going to punch 4 holes along one edge. So you want to be at least a ½ inch from the edge. You don't want to be too close to the edge because you might risk pulling out your holes, pulling out your binding. So I have this one already sewn here. I just used cardstock for the covers, so you can kind of see this one a little bit better. So there's 4 holes punched here. They're about an inch, ½ inch to an inch apart. You can kind of put them in any configuration. If you wanted to do 3 holes over here close together and 1 hole over here far away, you could do that. There's so many examples online of different ways to do a stab binding. Once you kind of have the basics down, you can do really wild stuff with lines going up and down. You could do like 12 holes across the back here. There's different patterns you can download. So this is really just a basic binding that you can build off of. Warhol made a lot of artist books in the 1950s, and he published books throughout his life as an artist. We're going to have a couple of videos by Jessica Beck, our curator, sort of celebrating some of Warhol's books. So these are some nice demos to go along with that if you're a teacher and you're kind of thinking about this in kind of a lesson plan scope. So how you're going to start this book is you're going to take your thread, and you're going to want at least 4 lengths the back of your book or the edge of your book. So I have plenty of thread here. You can start this by kind of opening up the back of your book about halfway through and sewing in through the middle here. So I've come, and you're going to leave some of this thread hanging out. You can have it coming out the back or in the middle of the book. And that's where you're going to tie up your thread at the end. So you start by just making a loop around. And as you sew it, it kind of becomes easier because the holes line up kind of as you're going. So you're going to go to the left. And then over the edge here and back through. And what you're kind of doing is making these kind of rectangles. And from here, I'm going to go around the edge of my book and back through. Some people like to leave this edge open, but I like to close it off. And you're going to turn your book back over to the back. And you're going to kind of go across to close up this area. So you're seeing we're trying to make a line that goes kind of all the way across. And come back to the front, go across. When I learned this binding, we talked about it as like building these little houses. So we're like putting the roofs on these houses is how I learned it. So we're putting on the side of our house. Going from the back, going to the right here, putting on the roof of our house. And we're leaving this one open right now because when we come back through this way, this will get closed up when we do our final step. So around the side. Put the side of that house on. Put the roof on here. And then we have one more to close up here. So when I come through here, I'm actually only going to go halfway through so I can meet my other string here. So this is a little tricky part. You're wrangling paper a little bit here. Okay, so I know that's where I need to come through. It's probably going in and out of focus, but hopefully you can see that. I'm coming through here, and I can either pull this thread through here, or I can have them go out the back. But basically, I'm just tying this thread. I'm going to double knot it. And then you can just cut this off. And there you go. You have a pretty securely bound little pamphlet book. So this is great because had I had maybe a whole bunch of little watercolors I did, or maybe I made a whole bunch of this marbleized paper and I just wanted a way to put it all together, you could use this binding since the pages could have something on them before you start binding them. So there you go. Happy bookmaking.